Hi, my name is Kenneth Broadus. This is my Unit 2 project for Class 4311, Fire Prevention and Code Enforcement. The 3 E's: educate, enforce, and engineering. First, education is the fire department going out into the local community and discussing with businesses and homeowners about how to protect themselves against a fire, how to set up a proper evacuation plan, to go into schools and teach kids of making sure their family has a meeting point if there is a residential fire, and basically making the public aware of fire prevention through education and learning of what it takes to adequately prevent a fire, or if in the case of a fire, how to get everyone out in a safe manner by not blocking exits and stuff like that. The enforcement normally comes from the fire marshal, either on a county or local, even a state level. A lot of the enforcement comes from there. It rarely comes from your frontline firefighters. It can, but it's always on a fire marshal level. The engineering aspect of it is having either education or the tools in place to help prevent a fire. That could be something as far as sprinklers, having the sprinklers in the correct place, having exit signs, not blocking doors, making sure that the sprinkler system is up to a certain PSI. So in the case of a fire, you have enough pressure to adequately suppress the fire until local firemen get there. The code is enforced on a couple different ways. State fire marshal and local fire marshal will come in. They will inspect your business. They will make sure that, like I said, there's no sign, there's no doors being blocked. All the doors for exits are properly lit and well illuminated. A backup plan may be necessary in some place, and the code is enforced through that of making sure your plan is up to date and it meets the code requirements to adequately help in a situation. Code applies to old and new buildings in the same manner. If a new building is being built, the fire marshal is going to come in and say, these are the NFPA standards, and this is what we're going to go by. So your building needs to meet these standards. It's a little bit different on an older building. Say they go to an older restaurant and the exit sign isn't properly lit anymore. They're going to make sure that they come up to the standards that the new building has, and not only the lighting, but the proper, fire suppression systems and fire extinguishers that are properly located and tagged, and make sure that they're updated and tested in a timely and on an accurate manner so that everybody across the board is on the same standard. The fire resistance of building material on the local level, a lot of time that gets tested either with a pool test or a furnace test. Depending on that area, if it has to meet certain standards of how long it takes for it to fully engulf, and how a lot of different things come into. It's normally tested by either the local fire marshal, or he may have a representative that does it for him and comes back with the results that, hey, this lasted for this long or at this degree. Normally they want to see a rating of a certain material to last at a degree temperature for a certain amount of time before it actually combusts. The types of tests normally are the flow test or the furnace test, depending on the area. I know this area, that's what they do a lot. How the test applied to inspection enforcement. If the materials that are in the building aren't up to code, then enforcement would have to come in and say, hey, look, you can't have this material in the building because of the fact that it doesn't meet the NFPA standards for the type of business this is. Or if your sprinkler system doesn't have enough pressure to adequately dispersed, then enforcement's going to come in and say, hey, you need to get this fixed by your local fire suppression company, or you need to get your fire extinguishers updated. So the inspection kind of plays hand in hand with the enforcement. If they come in and inspect and there's things that are out of date or out of line, enforcement will apply in that in making sure that these things get corrected, or fines can ensue, or even the shutting down of a business if they find enough stuff where they deem that the building isn't safe and isn't adequate for people to be in. That's a rare incidence, but it does happen in situations, mainly if the sprinkler system isn't adequate and the exit signs aren't labeled correctly, or even if they're blocked. That is a very good way to get enforcement brought down on you and have a lot of fines and codes and stuff like that. Again, my name's Kenneth Broadus, and this is Class 4311, Unit 2. Thank you, and have a great night.